Hello everybody, we are back again, another live stream. I'm still a little bit having a cold, a little bit still under the weather, using a lot of tissues, just having a nasty cold, but everybody welcome. And I'm just playing one of the new presets. So yeah, we are busy with BLUE-3 getting it NKS ready. Now we shipped the version to our native instruments and they're going to check if everything is okay and then we can release. And in the meantime, we also only a few presets. But what we also did is, how they call it, revise the current presets. So we did check the tagging. Some presets were a little bit loud in volume, so that should be more in one level over the whole banks. And sometimes we even deleted presets which were a little bit too bad in quality. So this is one. So in the sequencer bank, sequence 1, sequence bank 2, originally in sequence bank 1 we had one preset too many because it should be always 128 so that you can use program change and also that the bank is not too full. It's possible to have 256 presets in one bank, but then you need to scroll all the way. So we keep it 128 for the program change and that the bank is not filled too much. So, and then we had only one preset, new preset in the sequence sound bank 2. So and here we have some new ones. And I even created a 6/8 groove, which is a 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 6/8 groove, which uses the sequencer, but then of course only 24 steps and with a different accent. Tuck, tuck, ting, tuck, tuck. So that's a 6/8. And of course, if you have a sequencer and you think, okay, my song is a 6/8, you also always can make from a 4/4 sequence always a 6/8. So if I would go to this groove, new one, I think. Oh, I moved this one. So this is an older one, but we moved this one. So you can make this one a 6/8 simply, for instance, by making, let's say, only 12 steps. And then, of course, you need to have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you get 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you create your sequence. Then you have a 6/8. So that's always possible, which if you have a sequence, sorry, so I'm still coffee. I use a lot of tissues, so maybe that's a good one for a commercial break. Tempo Team tissues are perfect if you're having a cold and work a lot in the studio. So that was a commercial break. My sponsor. So, okay, just kidding. So, yeah, let's go to the NKS and what we did. So the presets, they, yeah, and there's some new grooves are in sequence bank 2. So there are not many new presets in BLUE-3 once we released the NKS update because we were hours busy with fixing everything. So I played one new groove. This one, it's a new one. This one is a new one. With a growling bass. Of course, you need to make far more presets. This is also a cool one, so let's see what it is. Although in this one the background is already a bass. So I could shut down the bass sound from it. Use the XY. Doesn't do that much. I think it's more connected to the bass. using the first oscillator as a frame drum. And then, of course, if you go to the wave, you can see all the waves which are using here. So that's one of the new presets. Let me see if I have. This was the 6/8. We had the phase one. That one uses the string model. And of course, let's see what the XY does. And then, of course, you always can shut down a oscillator. Now you only have oscillator 1, which has this wave sequence. So these are only a few, but these are in the sequence bank too. And then, of course, yeah, we check the tagging so that the tagging is all right. And while doing some presets, I really sometimes went into such a nice presets. And you see, sometimes I gave it a star because I liked really much the presets. And the Pads 02 essentially are from the, I think the BLUE-2 or BLUE-1, even BLUE-1 presets. Very nice pad sounds. Oh, this is BLUE-2 because I hear samples. UFO pad, I think that one uses FM synthesis. And you see that will also be new, the animated envelopes. And what I want to do in the future, but that's in a future update, you get here an extra screen where we will have from Predator 3 the morphing preset option, and that you can have the intelligent variation, just like the Predator 3 has. So that's also planned for BLUE-3. And I think I want to go back with the older FX layout, because the layout of the FX, I'm not happy with that. So I think we're going to have dials again combined with menus. So that's a graphic thing I like to do in a future update. So there's always things popping up. So yeah, that's what I did while doing the these are all nice. So yeah. Tom Aldrich, yes, like dials. Yeah, indeed. The other ones pages are fine. Sample pages, of course, if you want to load your own samples, that one is okay. But the FX, I think that one could be using more the old style, what we did with BLUE-2. So that's things that are still planned. Of course, more presets in the future. And of course, Prisma. We had a bit of a slide back with Prisma because of the changes on the Mac computer. So it took more time to use to create Prisma using a BLUE-3. So that's also on the planning, most likely in March. So we need to wait for the NKS or Native Instruments, and then we can release. But of course, I can show you already what we did in BLUE-3. So here we have complete control. I made blue in the 125% size, otherwise the blue itself is too big. You pick here, you see all the banks. It doesn't have the introduction bank, also not the, if you go down, doesn't have the example bank, so they are still in the own format. So what you can use by the NKS is use their system to scroll through all the presets. So here you can select on their tagging. If you want to have sound effects, they will pop up. So if you click here on plug strings, you'll see down here, let me see if I can make that bigger. I'm not sure if I succeed in getting that bigger here. Aye. These are the auditions. Oh, here's the Celtic harp. So double click and then you load it in. Wrong. There's the harp. And you see, you have here the option to have the controlling parts. So if I go picking one of the other sounds, so if I go simply to the sequence sounds against sequence sounds, so you see here the banks are the same, only you pick the presets then in, excuse me, in the NKS format. So that's doing the audition. So that's also the reason why the NKS installer is so big. It's very big because every preset has its short audition. So here you can control the volume for the audition. I think you cannot see it. I need to move it a little bit. So in the let's move my face a little bit. Okay. Wrong. Yeah, that's me. Let's move me here out of the order, and then we can see a little bit more of the surface of complete control. Down here you have a volume knob dial. There you control the volume of the previews, and previews are very short audio examples of the presets. So this makes that you don't have to load the preset to hear what's about in the preset. So if you double click a preset, what I do now, you see then it loads it in. Now, and then you see up here we have the controls. So you see my keyboard, and that one I also need to change now so that you can see it. I go up here and then you see my controls, and everything is getting a little bit... Ooh, it doesn't fit fully. Okay, but that doesn't matter. Okay, I move it a little bit. You see here the dial, X and Y. That one is also here. You see it moving here? So that's the parameter layout. So if I play this sound now, I can use also the dials. Yeah, and the next one is you have the volume, the overall volume, but also the envelope, the amp envelope. You know, here on the right-hand side where I always tell you that this one is always visible in BLUE-3, except for the sample page, because this one, even if you're in the bank manager, yeah, that's not visible, sorry. In the XY, in the ARP, in the sequencer, it's always visible, or in the FX page, because that one is always what you work with a lot. So then the first page in the NKS is then also the attack, decay, sustain, and release from the amp envelope. So you can use essentially the keyboard, the complete control or machine as a kind of editor. The second page is where the play mode, now it's now playing the sequencer, of course. Then you got the oscillator waveforms you can change. If it is active, in this case it is active. So all these 6 oscillators, and then of course the filter type, if active, in this preset is no filters active, you can control the FX, the analog phaser, you can change the mix amount. dry, this is delay. Okay. Then we have, if you go more to the right, so after FX we have the sequencer, the tuning of the tuning of the sequencer, and you can change that one using here the dial. So in total these are of course many pages because there are 8 dials. So we have step 1 up to 8, step 9 up to 16, step 17 up to 24, and step 35 up to step 32, if there are 32 steps used. And in this case, they are used, and I can change them here. And then, if you go even further, that's special, this wave sequence of oscillator 1. So only you can, all the 6 oscillators you can change the sequence per step, but I only pick one because otherwise you get too many pages. So only oscillator 1, there you can change then the different waveforms. So you see it also appearing here in the menu, see set, and then it says wave 3, wave this one, all the numbers pop up. So let me make it shorter so that it's maybe a bit easier to hear. So I make only, let's say, 8 steps. Here I go to the wave view. Step 3. There's one oscillator playing. I should shut them down. Now you only hear oscillator 1. And I can change. So I can also put on a sequence here. So that's cool. Then you have a dial. And this is for all the 32 steps for oscillator 1. So we did only oscillator 1 because otherwise you get so many pages. So if you want to create, for instance, then a wave sequence from scratch, use the oscillator 1 then as a base for doing the different waveforms, and use the other ones. You also can do, of course, different waveforms. But I think it would be possible, and otherwise I need to ask Jan for it, because I think what would be an interesting thing to do, although it doesn't make any sense if you would copy the wave sequence from oscillator 1 to oscillator 2. It's the same. It doesn't make any sense. So, but essentially, in practical sense, it will not be the case that you have 6 oscillators running, which each a different waveform in each step. It's possible, but then you get a lot of noise, maybe a little bit too much noise. So that's what we did. We have also the sequencer page, and then that you can control the waveform, which is available in the oscillator 1. Per step, you can change the waveform. So that's the basic layout for the NKS. Of course, we need to wait if Native Instruments agrees to that. Maybe they say, okay, we find this too many pages. We had even more with BLUE-2, I think. But one thing, by the way, which is also cool, if you go to the oscillator page, you see that we added the attack, decay, sustain, and release, which is cool if you're doing FM type of sounds. So let's go to a different sound. So let's go to digital basses, which are very often very... So here go to the algorithm. You see 3, 4, and 5 are modulating 6. Okay. And it's combined with this one. It's more like a combined. This is more a subtractive bass. Definitely a subtractive bass. And this one is doing the FM type of thing. So by this one, if you would go down to oscillator 5 in the editor, 3, 4, 5, you have the semitone tuning you can change. semi-tone change, but also the envelope. So if I go here to the envelope, of envelope 5 is what I'm editing here. You see it change? So that's also possible. So the oscillator is not only the waveform you can select, the semitone, fine tune, and the volume of the oscillator. I also can make it harder, which is interesting with FM synthesis, but also the envelope of the oscillator, which is used in FM synthesis, you can use. So if I go to Mua Sunset, let's see if we find that one. I think that's an ARP sound. No, ARP Bank 1, I think. So I'm looking here. Here it is. So there you hear the audition. Double click on load the sound, and then it appears, and you see algorithm. It's 3, 4, and 5 is used. So 3 modulates 4, and 4 modulates 5. So if I go here with the and go to oscillator 4, see it up here, oscillator 4. I can change the semitone. Change the envelope. Follow. So that's also cool with the complete control. You have also a kind of synth editing. So you have the dials under your fingers. And of course, the first page is this XY. Excuse me. I'm still terrible coughing. And that has the XY, you see, XY. Changes also a bit the FM sound. So that's the XY, but also the volume is there, but also the envelope. So if you want to make this one shorter, you can do that to first page. So let's see in the chat room, because I'm playing around and talking about. So let me see if there's any question. Johan, you ask how you can program. Yeah, we have a special version of Machine, which is specially for programmers, where you can latch the parameters to. So we have a list here that shows then the whole parameters list of BLUE-3, which is a huge list, of course, and then you can pick on a dial, you can pick that one. So normally it's a list, but in this case, we simply have a menu, you open it, you click on the dial, you move it around, and then it's addressed, and then you can add a name to it. That's how we do it. I'm not sure if this is possible for the user as well. It well could be, so that you can make your own setup. So we have a kind of setup already. You can compare it a little bit with Prisma. So this is the parameters, where the complete control, or Machine 2 controls the parameters. And essentially it's the same if you would record a parameter, then of course it's also the parameter which is recorded. So that's how it works. Where we create this setup. And of course, yeah, Native Instruments has to say, okay, this setup is nice, or it's too complicated, or we see some errors. Somebody asked about licenses. Yeah, you can install the or software on 2 computers of your own. That's already possible. And if you like to have it on, maybe you have 3 or 4, then just drop us a note. We make you a special price. Sure, that's no problem at all. You always can drop us a note if you have such a question. So I'm looking here in the chat room. So I'm looking if I'm missing maybe a question, but I think it's the many things. I'm scrolling a little bit, so I think most of them already did cover. So this is the NKS browsing. So you see here we have BLUE-3. You see also blue here, the image popping up, the parameters pop up. You can have all the banks here, but except for the example banks and the introduction bank. They are not inside the NKS because they don't want double presets, because the introduction bank, if you go here to a manager, the introduction bank, of course, are presets which are essentially a collection of all the banks below it. And in the introduction bank, we use for the demo version, or simply do that people get an impression of what is available in our synthesizer. And so these are not in the NKS format. Sometimes if there was a particular size, it could well be that the hip-hop bank has, for instance, a base you don't see in the hip-hop bank because it was already in the analog basis. So that also could be the case because they don't want to have double preset. Here we can have a double preset because sometimes in the past we created a preset which was in the hip-hop bank, which was also cool analog bass, and then we moved it also over to the analog basis, which is down here. This one. So here we have 55 basses in analog bass 02. Let me see how many we have in, not sure if we can count this here in analog basses. 2. No, here you cannot count that one. But can you count it? Yeah, 55. So that is perfectly the same. So yeah. And you see these are the same presets as in our own bank. And these are the additions. So they are louder. Dirty sweep sound. There's a Prophet 600 which is behind me. It's the kind of presets I always made with the Prophet 600, with a very dark and a little click. Very dry. I don't think it has any effects. No, this is totally dry. But it works perfectly in the mix, you know. Although I have a bass. There's also bass playing here, but I'm not sure which one that is. Okay. Sounds a bit like a subwound bass. I hear it in the groove also very low end. Yeah, so many things inside a BLUE-3. So hopefully we get the news very soon from Native Instruments that everything is okay. Then we release the BLUE-3 with NKS support, with some bug fixes, some new little improvements. What I mentioned is the envelopes. If you have the envelopes, they are graphic now. Show the animation. So here you see it starts at the attack stage, decay, sustain, it keeps on, and then it goes to the release stage. And if you use the invert envelope in the filter, it also flips. So here you see the envelope. If it's not used, it's in the center position. If you go negative, you have a negative envelope. And now it flips also graphic-wise, which is then nice so that you understand what happens with the sound. Let me see if we can. So this is a negative envelope. The attack becomes essentially a decay, and the decay becomes essentially a kind of attack stage. And then the sustain remains the same, only this flipped. So the sustain means that need to go, this is up and this is down. So that's funny. And you see the release goes up to the max level instead of going to 0. So if I go down in normal envelope, you get this. And now negative. And you see, I also need to adjust the cutoff frequency. And we made it that also the envelope graphics switches also. This one is not yet. This is in the next version. So this version is not downloadable yet. Now, that's going to be once we release the NKS. Otherwise, we upload too many versions. So this will be the BLUE-3 version 1.01 with NKS. These kind of addings, the correction of some presets in terms of volume, and also some other small bugs we fixed. We win a award. Johan, you're correct about that. We win an award, a music award for playing. We win the International Musician Award from Schallwelle in Germany. That was last Saturday. And that was a surprise because, we were among Jean-Michel Jarre and all kind of other artists, but we did win this international reward, which is a very nice prize. And I have it here, by the way. Should I take it? And let me show you. It's pretty heavy and it has a nice table under it, and then you have some lights. So let me see, it's very heavy. It's made from glass. And here we have the award. It's very heavy. And I think that came because we did the Klaus Schulze tribute, which people loved in May. We did that. Klaus Schulze passed away in April, and then I had this idea to do together with Ron Boots, a tribute in the style of his music, basic German electronic Berliner school type of improvisation on synthesizers, and they loved it. And then we did also another gig in November, and that with some other material we all worked together out, and that was this prize. So it was a surprise, but very nice, of course, to receive that. And cool. Thanks. Okay. So back to the BLUE-3. Of course, all other products are also NKS. So if you close this one, you see all instruments, and then you click, you can see all the other things. We have Subboom Bass 2, even the original Subboom Bass is here inside, Vecto, Predator 3, even the Predator 2 is still there, Blade 2, BIT, and you see, and with Bit we did then, for instance, other things. You see Oscillator 1. AMP envelope. Then you go page 2 is the filter. Filter 2 is bypass. Chorus you can control here. The delay, I think the arpeggiator also. So now I'm changing the tuning of the arpeggiator. So that's also, of course, we are working now on BIT2 or BIT2. It's going to be lovely because we do some things which came over from the Berlin School style of music. The idea popped up that it would be nice if you can change the amount of steps dynamically. So if you have this preset, so that you would have start out with 4 steps, and then you go smooth to 8 steps, and then smooth to 16 steps. Now you see, now it stops playing, but that's going to be a dial, and then you can use that one. We will have ratcheting in a bit too, but also a magic mode inside the ARP sequencer, which is new. So, and if you wonder where the, so if you think, okay, I want to listen to this, what we did on this eLive, this Schulze tribute. Let me see if you go to YouTube. I'm not sure if that is possible. If we have that one, then you need to go to Rob Papen Music. Okay. Okay, let me show you. And the screen, here we have, this is my YouTube channel. Of course, I need to create far more music, but I have lack in time. So here you see, then you have here the Klaus Schulze tribute by Rob Harpen and Ron Boots. That's the one. Then you see you have a few synth music, but also some piano pieces. But that's the one, I think, which made us win the prize. And it has 11,000 views in 9 months, which is pretty a lot for this type of music, which is a niche type of music style. So this is the one you should check then out, the Klaus Schulze. So it's the Rob Papen music, that's the one. Okay, let's go back now, where I can see you in the chat room. Okay. So there are some other little things we did in BLUE-3, but I don't recall them yet. So it's in the terms of little bugs. There are always little bugs popping up, which we fixed. So that's going to be hopefully maybe in 1 or 2 weeks. Maybe we can release it already next week. So that will be great. So in the meantime, I'm checking here the chat room. And I made the screen a little bit too large and can see everything now. That's annoying. I have the second monitor, which is on the top, which is of course a smaller one. So the upper screen where I look at the Skype, not Skype, at the YouTube. In the chat room is a full HD, and the computer screen I'm working on is a widescreen, big widescreen, 3,300 versus 1,400 pixels. So that's a little bit different in size. Yeah. Okay, so about the ARP. So Tom Aldrich asked me of some questions about the ARP. Well, you see, there's many options here. Some of the things which we have in the ARP are pretty basic, and you will see that in every of our. So if I go to a preset. Okay, let's take a. So this is using the chord mode, which the play mode is then, which is you find in all our plugins. It's up is a normal arpeggiator or down. The chord mode is, of course, triggers the chord play. Now, you see, what I mostly do when I'm creating an arpeggiator, this one is 32 steps, is I start with 16, because that's already enough for making a kind of basic groove. Now, you can use tune, which makes it essentially kind of sequencer, but in chord mode, it's nice to have indeed, for instance, sometimes maybe a octave higher. You see that one? Then you have the velocity, and velocity is the same story as with the other plugins. You have the velocity key mix, which is down here, which determines if it's fully left, which is the velocity which you set here. So if I go very down here, so let's increase it. Hear that? Now it's on the volume. So, and if I go with the volume mix fully to the right, then it's the keyboard input which determines how the velocity is. So if I play soft, it's soft. When I play high, it plays high. Soft, high. So then the velocity here essentially is ignored. Of course, you can mix between these two settings. And that's essentially, now it's here a fader, but on, for instance, the other synthesizers, it's a dial. So that's still there. But for instance, if you have a nice setting up here, we have still the options for changing the lengths. That could also be interesting. And you see it doesn't change. Well, that is because you have the note lengths. Okay, it doesn't change. Why it doesn't change? Did I find another bug? Now it changes all of them. But also should be possible to change them individually. Okay, I found another bug. So that's good that we do a live stream. Search for bugs. But essentially, it should be able to go down with one, so make one note one step shorter. The free row, you can connect that one to any of the other parameters, controlling the FX. But once you have something nice here, the trick to make an arpeggiator less boring is simply by making it 32 steps. And then simply the command comes in handy here. And then you say, copy steps 116 to 17 to 32. Okay, now I did copy it, but it doesn't appear. Okay, then I need to, of course, make the also 32 steps here. And now it's placed twice the same. But then I can change here the second one and then have a nice variation. This is the same trick you can do with the sequencer, by the way. It has the slide, although the slide but it's not used, so why not click it off? And then with chord, you also can say octave. That's also funny. Then the next step goes still in octaves. You can have a different speed, which is interesting, half speed or twice the speed. Then you have the time modes, normal and special. And of course you need to note. Now you hear the 9. Now, and the tie note special means that you still can change the tuning of it. You hear this little, so let's make it back again to 16. You hear this little movement. This is the special time mode. We don't have yet the toggle mode inside of it because the other synthesizers also have a toggle mode. We first plays normal and then special and then normal, special. So only we have the normal. And if I go to special, then the tie notes still do another tuning and velocity. this is the special and then the normal. So that's a little bit what you can do with the chord mode. I'm looking here, there's still some questions popping up. Yeah, double click brings things to the default settings. So if I click here, 127 velocity, I think with tuning it goes to 0. Attack here, it goes to 0. Sometimes it has a value which is more, as you're saying, goes 100%. And then if you use the dial, so this is the VST2 version, you can use the roll scroll bar. I think that one, not sure if that one works with the VST3. That was last time we discussed this. Double click is very handy to have, of course. And then you have, of course, if you use the shift from your computer keyboard, then you have small values. For instance, if you say, I want a semitone, but or fine tune, and it's a little bit hard to hit, for instance, +10 semi, you can use the shift and then it goes in small steps. It goes down. Here we go. Yeah, just play around with the arpeggio rate. There are many presets which are used, but then some of them, I think most of them are not 32 steps. So here you can simply say, okay, copy this one to 32, make it 32, and then I make it a little bit more interesting. Dirty sound. Yeah, so that's still possible. And of course, what I always tell, move around with the attack, decay, and sustain to make it fit in your music. So if I play here with this sound, maybe from the start you would say, nah, it's not that good, it's not that useful. You move around the XY. Maybe this is nicer. Or you say this sequence is too slow. Take double tempo. That's not nice, so keep it one tempo. But maybe you should have more notes. Maybe too much effects. This could well be fit, maybe nice. The delay, just bypass it. And then the lady starts singing, you know, then this sound could be functional. I don't say it's functional, but it could be. So that's really what you need to do with BLUE-3. There are many presets, but shut down oscillators, turn a little bit on the filter, change the envelope, and change the ARP or the sequencers, put on, off sequences, and sometimes you run very fast in a very interesting sounds, which fits far more your song. Cool. Okay, checking here the live chat. Okay. Yeah, double click is indeed. A dial with a middle center, where is it? So here, modulation wheel. Yeah, that's very hard because the mouse wheel doesn't have go really, then you need to double click. I think that's very hard to get it on 0. So simply use double click. So if I'm using it now also, the modulation wheel, you see it moving here where the mouse is. I'm using the the scroll wheel now, and then I try to get it to 0, but it's minus 1%. That's still not okay. So double click makes it then go 0. So here's the readout up here. Which, okay. That makes that we get to our weekly song from Tom Aldrich. Tom Aldrich had time again, and he did send out a new song for us. She Like TA Moves. She Like Tom Aldrich Move. So we're very curious, Tom, what you created. You use a lot of punch and blue. So we are looking forward in listening to it. So, and I want to say goodbye to everybody. Next week we catch up again. Maybe then I show a little bit about BIT2 or Bit2. And anyway, thank you for watching. Enjoy creating music. That's most important. And we catch up next week. So, and we go out now with Tom Aldrich. She Like TA Move.